Well, today I want to sit down with you for an urgent, kind of intimate mentorship session. We're going to talk about a hidden danger, something that can silently destroy a growing team from the inside out if you aren't paying close attention. Let's just dive right into this quote here. Some fires do not begin in forests, some begin in the mouth. Wow, right? That brilliantly hits the nail on the head for our core challenge today. As a leader, you might be constantly looking out for massive operational failures or budget shortfalls, but I really need you to understand how fast a single whisper of resentment can burn down your team's entire culture. I mean, it happens in an absolute flash.
Section 1, the spark in the camp.
So we're going to use the biblical camp of the Israelites in Numbers chapter 11 as a sort of metaphor for your modern organization. Picture it. You've got a growing team, you are facing immense pressure, everyone is working in close quarters, and that initial shiny excitement of the mission is really starting to wear off. The text in Numbers 11 says, "Now when the people complained, it displeased the Lord, for the Lord heard it." Now, in corporate environments, we often tell ourselves that complaining is just harmlessly releasing pain or venting to blow off steam. But here's the reality check. Those words don't just evaporate into thin air. They are heard. Your organizational culture absorbs absolutely everything. And heaven certainly does not pretend the smoke of contempt is incense. A toxic attitude carries real heavy weight. Which brings us to a specific place called Taberah. Now, Taberah wasn't just some random tragedy. By definition, it means a warning with smoke on it, a place where the fire of the Lord burned against rebellion. For you, as an organizational leader, this isn't just history, it's a critical burning lesson in accountability. You simply cannot afford to ignore the early smoldering signs of toxic speech in your ranks. It creates a massive cultural debt. Let me put it this way. If you ignore the smoke, you are absolutely going to have to fight the fire. All right, section 2, wilderness exposes the heart. Because look, every single organization is inevitably going to face what we can call a wilderness season. You know what I'm talking about? Those high pressure, incredibly hard times, budget crunches, and structural growing pains that test the resolve of literally everyone on payroll. And when we hit that wilderness, we are remarkably quick to make excuses, aren't we? We point to extreme pressure, deep fatigue, poor timing, bad leadership, or delayed answers. We use all of these to justify the smoke of our complaining. But hear this as a leader. The wilderness doesn't create unbelief or toxicity. Not at all. It simply exposes it. The pressure of the job just squeezes the human heart until whatever hidden resentment was already living inside finally leaks out into the open. And this perfectly illustrates a dangerous duality you are going to start seeing in your teams if you aren't super careful. It's the stark contrast between singing in church versus complaining in the hallway. Or, translated to the office, someone might be nodding and smiling, publicly applauding the mission in a Tuesday Zoom meeting, but then they're ruthlessly complaining in private Slack channels by Thursday. They publicly support the vision, but privately, they carry a concealed knife of resentment. This negative speech is exactly the kind of duality you have to watch out for. Moving on to section 3, when complaint becomes fire. Think about exactly how this timeline works, how gratitude actually decays. Yesterday, it's the miracle, the big win, the major client secured, the impossible deadline met. Today, that miracle just becomes the baseline expectation. Tomorrow, it becomes the complaint. Why isn't it better? Why is this so hard? And the end result of all that? The fire. This happens the second we stop seeing the bigger picture, when past provision becomes stale and our mouths turn past success into evidence against our own leadership. It's a really dangerous trap. And the tricky thing is, a complaining spirit rarely stays private. It spreads like a sickness and actively damages community culture. Stage 1 is private muttering, where that little seed of distrust begins. Stage 2 is spreading the word, which actively teaches others to distrust leadership. By stage 3, sounding wise, the bitterness actually becomes masked as logic. It sounds smart to be cynical. And finally, stage 4, dark language, where the whole camp is absolutely poisoned. Negative speech patterns turn corporate memory into poison, and they will literally destroy the very fabric of your team.
Section 4, the leader as mediator.
This is where your role shifts dramatically, and honestly, it gets pretty heavy. As an emerging leader, you bear a reverent burden. You aren't just managing spreadsheets and timelines anymore. You're a mediator for your people, much like Moses was for the camp of Israel. The text notes, "Then the people cried out to Moses, and when Moses prayed to the Lord, the fire was quenched." See, a true leader doesn't start the complaint. They don't create the rebellion. But when the fire breaks out, they don't run away and point fingers either. They must stand near the fire and intercede for their team to pull them out of it. And we can actually elevate this concept even further by looking at the greater mediator, Christ. He is the ultimate one who stood between divine judgment and guilty sinners.
He carried the rebellion of others to the cross. But notice the absolutely crucial detail here. He never once excused the sin. Translating this into an actionable leadership philosophy, it means taking extreme ownership. You mediate for the people, you absorb the impact, but you do it without ever validating or endorsing that toxic behavior. So, practically speaking, what does this actually mean for you today, right now in your office? Well, you didn't start the rebellion, but you absolutely must stand between the flame and the people. You lift your voice for the guilty. Crucially, you do not call the rebellion harmless, but you carry the weight of it. This is the exact posture you must take. You cannot join the break room complaint just to seem cool or relatable to your team, and you definitely cannot ignore the smoke hoping it just magically goes away. You step into the gap. Which leads us to section 5, pivot to constructive groans. Look, people are going to get frustrated. That is a 100% given. But as a leader, you need to teach your team the vital difference between a toxic accusation that destroys culture and honest, constructive feedback that actually protects it. Biblical lament sounds like, "Lord, I am hurting. Help me trust you." Toxic complaint, on the other hand, sounds like, "Lord, you failed me." As a manager, you really want to cultivate an environment where lamenting is safe, like offering honest feedback on a one-on-one, but toxic complaining, like hallway gossip, is directly challenged. Lamenting brings the pain directly to leadership while still holding their hand in partnership. Complaining, it just points fingers and pulls away entirely. As this quote perfectly sums up, there is a holy way to groan. There is also a rebellious way to grumble. Having faith, or just being a dedicated, resilient team player, doesn't mean forcing a fake smile while you're literally bleeding inside. It means choosing the holy groan. In corporate communication, this means teaching your team how to surface blockers to management respectfully. It's all about letting the wilderness classroom retrain your tongue to communicate pain constructively rather than destructively. Okay, section 6, extinguishing the flames. When you start seeing that smoke rising, you need an actionable blueprint to put out the fire before it burns down your future. Step 1, pray or pause. Start exactly where Moses started. In management terms, this means taking a deep breath before reacting. Step 2, confess. Bring the mouth under mercy. In your meetings, this means naming the cultural issue clearly, without sugarcoating it, but also without over-explaining it for an hour. Just name it. And step 3, surrender. As a leader, when you sense resentment, you simply have to let go of the bitterness so the team can actually move forward, rather than building a monument to it. I love this verse from Psalm 141. It says, "Set a guard, O Lord, over my mouth. Keep watch over the door of my lips." Honestly, I'm advising you right now. This guard belongs in every single office, every break room, and every private moment you have. Let's be real for a second. It takes sheer, unbelievable willpower to bite your tongue on a frustrating 50-reply email thread. We've all been there. But this daily habit is the absolute only way to keep your soul from playing with matches near dry grass. But here's the really beautiful part. A near disaster doesn't have to define your team forever. Look at this transformation. We go from a place of burning judgment to an altar of holy fear, from a memory of fire to a protective warning, from terror that runs away to reverence that runs back. The memory of a cultural near miss, a moment where toxicity almost won out, can actually be redeemed by God into a powerful protective warning for the next generation. It becomes your best case study for team resilience. So, as we wrap up this explainer today, I want to leave you with one urgent, kind of provocative question to think about. What has your mouth been building? Take a hard look at your organization. Look at your team. Look in the mirror. Are your words building altars of trust, or are they digging graves of resentment? The tongue is small, yeah, but a match is small too. The choice is yours. Keep guarding that culture, watch the words you speak, and I will see you in the next explainer.